Right. So today, today we're talking about blogging. So I thought I'll do this properly in detail so that we can see how to put our blogs together, because it really is effective for helping with search engine optimization. Now, obviously, the first thing is that we need to know who it is that we're talking to and what that blog is going to be about. And that sounds a simple thing, but actually making sure that it's coherent with what it is that you're trying to ultimately promote is really important. The aim of a blog being something that's extremely informative for people and even well researched if it's in that area of health as well. Something that blows people out of the water when they read it and they think, I never knew that, and they want to share it with others. So sometimes you come across blogs where you think, wow, that's amazing. I never knew that. And it really builds up either a story or an argument, and then it backs it up. And it's something that's transformative. We've talked about the importance of ensuring that at the end on some of your blogs that there is a call to action, because a blog can also serve as a way into getting somebody into your email list. So providing a free informative blog that you then post within somebody else's Facebook group means that it's helping their audience. Yet at the end, there is that sign up there. So you could always pull a form into there so that you get somebody's name and email, possibly their phone number also. So the most important thing with a good blog is the really catchy headline. Make sure that this is actually very, very clear and very compelling, so it makes somebody want to read it. Now, our heading is done in what's known as an H1, and an H1 is picked up by the search engines. And so I'll show you how we can tell if something is H1, H2, etc. And then you always have that meta description. And that's because when somebody shares a blog, you'll read one or two lines that describes a little bit about what that blog is about. But that meta description should always include some of those keywords. So how can we find the keywords? You can ask ChatGPT to come up with a really good, catchy, compelling title and ask it to extract the most important keywords from that particular subject and ensure that they actually do appear within the meta description. Now, when we're looking at writing a blog, we always need to think of the titles for it, because some people do skim read, myself being one of them, where I'll come all the way down a page and I grasp what's happening through reading the titles. And I sometimes very much skim the content and I end up getting a gist of what something is about. And if something has really caught my attention, I will go and read it. So every single section actually needs a good title. And typically these titles are an overarching title, which is known as an H3 header, and then almost like subtitles to that heading, which are known as H4. And so as we're breaking up our text, we have our initial H1, which is the overall one. We have an H2, which tells like a summary of what they're about to read. And then our H3s form the main context of what that section is about, with the subsections being H4, if that makes sense. So try to keep things in short paragraphs and sentences, which helps to increase that readability. And it's really useful for people when they're just kind of scanning through. Visuals can be really good as well. So with blogs, it's always good to put images in there. And you can create these in Canva whereby it's edited to not just be an image, but to say something about either the article itself or about that particular section. You can also pull in videos as well. And having the videos there means that something comes to life. And I'm really proud of myself because yesterday I actually worked out how to get the video on autoplay and looping. And I'm going to show you how that you can do that as well. The other thing that can be helpful and improve visibility is actually linking to other relevant posts that are within your own blog, because usually you have a theme there. And sometimes you don't want to then go into detail explaining about something you've already explained about. So linking to your own blogs definitely keeps people engaged, but you can also include external links as well, especially to authoritative stuff like research that you've discovered, anything that's going to back up the information within your blog. And also that does provide Google with that understanding of authority. Another way that you can do this is through putting your credentials. So ensure that both within your site somewhere and on your blog, you actually have your qualifications. You can even link to your college and certainly link to the research as well. So these are all things that Google verifies you as a person. Make sure throughout that you're always using keywords. So when you've done the research at the start, make sure those keywords keep appearing throughout the post, not just within the titles itself. And then if you do choose to use images, always use the alt text so that as somebody scans through it, it will come up with a description of what that image is actually about. So that can be really helpful for your readers that have to use the spoken word for that. Ensure as well that the blog is visual friendly. So often that means using those dark colors, usually black, usually dark gray. But when we're using some of the bright colors like greens or pinks or oranges, it's not always easy for somebody to read. And so sometimes it's almost dismissed. The other thing is use your mobile phone to then check this blog over afterwards to make sure what it looks like through a phone. Towards the end, actually have a call to action. So people like direction. What is it that you want them to do upon reading this? And it could be that you're giving them an exercise to do at home. Why not try going gluten-free for 1 week, etc. Or maybe for further information on how to go gluten-free, here's our guide. And then of course you can link to that and get their email address, etc. And also encourage your users to actually comment on that post, maybe to share it. So you can always put the social sharing images in there as well, or engage in your content in some way. So you might want to ask a question towards the end and ask somebody to display their experiences of it. Now, if you've ticked one of the boxes saying make users members, then it means that they then have to sign in. Now that can be a barrier. So sometimes it's easier to leave it open and just let people write comments, but keep an eye on it because you might get people writing all sorts that you might want to just edit out. The other thing is when you're writing your content, just proofread it or get somebody else to do that as well and just check it reads well. It's not always spelling errors. Sometimes it's just the way that something reads might not be quite right. It needs to flow. It needs to be logical as well, almost coming to a logical conclusion and also staying on topic. And getting really good at this can also help when you're writing maybe for magazines or approaching newspapers. So at the moment, I'm at the point of approaching newspapers for a different subject. And I want to show that I do follow that logical flow, with a logical conclusion. This is just good writing. And it means as well that it shows authority if you can show where you've been published as well. The other thing is to make sure that you keep updating even old blog posts. Now you can set the date within the site and I'll show you that, but it's also good to have a updated on at the very bottom. And so people know that it actually has updated research on there and that maybe certain things have changed about it as well. I was saying about using your credentials. I would definitely say that this helps to build trust if people can see who you are, your actual knowledge. They value the content more as well if it's got some good credible sources in there. Typically, we cite things from PubMed, for example, at least some sort of published research. I think that people would then share it when they know that it's something has been well written and well researched. It definitely improves engagement. But overall, it also boosts that search engine optimization as well. At the end of your things, although within your main site you have an about page, I would definitely include a whole section. And it is as a new section. It's not part of the blog with your bio. So it will pretty much follow your overall page where you've got your about me section. Put different LinkedIn profiles, your Facebook, etc. But definitely put why you are qualified to write about that particular subject. And at that point as well, in that footer is the ideal time to link to other people. And if somebody else has contributed to it, of course, make sure that you feature them as well and their credibility and their authority, etc. So let's have a look then at the different keywords and tags, etc. So this is one that I was doing as an example. So firstly, when you arrive in the blog section, so you go to the 3 lines, which is the pages, and then you'll find blogs. and you'll arrive at this page here, which is your blog list. Now you can edit the header and the sidebar. So this is just the view of it. And you can change the background color. You know, you want to remove something like that. You can change the color of your overlay. Typically that is what I would do. I think it just says blog, but you might want to put a description. You can change the image here. So this is the sidebar that's going to appear. If you want it to, you can change the layout however you want. And you can decide the titles of the posts that appear here, which kind of blog tags appear and which categories. So this is just showing the layout. So there is different versions as well. So on the settings, this is where you can change the layout if you didn't want that sidebar. So this says large image, no sidebar with a load more button, but it can be medium, it could be masonry. I'm not sure. You'll have to have a look to see which suits you. You can add your share buttons, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can either enable comments or disable. And you can decide if you want a notification if somebody has written a comment on your post. So if we have a look at how this is broken up in the back end, so you get the choice of image, gallery, video, quote, or nothing. So just a simple image you can upload from your site. The gallery means there's more than one image. The video is something that plays in the background. That's the bit that I want to show you how I've got it playing automatically and on a loop. Now this title, this is your H1 header. There's no way of adjusting that because ideally it looks like this should be the main thing. But this is the one that comes out as H1. The summary should say, it's your meta description. So it should say in detail and include keywords there. So hormonal input changes, sleep, menopause would be the key ones here. Now this is known as H2. So how we know that is if we highlight it like this, we choose what it's going to be. So in this case, header 2 has been chosen. And then these are all different settings. So we've got some H3s and some H4s. And you can tell, I mean, this one's larger than something like this. This is just an example. And then I'm going to show you how we can tell that in the live version. But at the end, we've then stopped and gone to a new block. And when you go to new block, you get to choose what type of layout that you want. So these header ones tend to have like a background with writing on the top. Image and text, these ones work quite well. You have an image on the right with a title, maybe a call to action. You can always delete that. Text can work well on a blog. So this one, Built with Greatness Inside, it says, works well because you've got a title with room for something like text. So if I just choose that, I'll show you then that you use the green arrows to pull that out. And don't forget as well, you can also adjust the sizing. So you can take the whole thing and make it either much smaller like that, bigger, etc. Now, the other thing is you can change the columns. So here we've got one, but we can see that you can actually change it into 2 columns. So if you've decided, oh, I don't just want the text, I actually do want to get an image in here, then you can always add an image. You go to add widget like you do with anything else, and you can just drag that across like that, and then choose it from your image library, which you should have down the side. You can always change the backgrounds on your blogs as well. So here we've got an H3 with text with an image. But here, if you click on the image and go to edit image, it's important that you do put the image description. So write about what it is that they're actually seeing. You can change whether it has a shadow, like let's say an outer shadow, the color of that. So I'm just going to make this really ugly and obvious so that you can see it. You can just see the different things. And this itself is a whole block. So this whole block here is of the 2 images. So one to the right, one to the left. And when you start writing, you might have to actually pull certain things down for it to appear correctly. Otherwise, it looks like initially this image on the left overlaps the top. So don't be afraid to pull things up and down within the site to reposition it. Oh yes, I'm showing you how the titles are built up. So I went into ChatGPT and asked about how menopause and hormonal changes affect sleep and why. And then I've taken those titles. So I asked it to split this up into H2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interestingly, it didn't give me any 5 and 6. It was only 2, 3, and 4. And so I have covered all of those, and these exact titles are showing how an article would be broken down and how an argument is almost put into place following this routine. Now I've managed to put an actual video in here. So this is free. It's from Pixabay. I went to pixabay.com, went to videos and asked for a lady sleeping. And then I'm going to give you the code that shows that this is playing in the background. So this is called an embed code. And I'll show you how you can do all of that. And then this is another block. So breaking up your blog means that you make things informative and catchy. So here we just have, the key points, some snippets, for example, before continuing. It's got herbal supplements, relaxation techniques, and then always have a conclusion. The conclusions are also important for SEO as well. So this title is H2, which has more priority than some of the others. Make sure that that text is really important and summarize the key points. Some people, when they read a blog, do shoot to the bottom because that's where the summaries are. Further support. And then here we've got hashtags. So hashtags are different to tags. So your hashtags always appear at the very end of the article. And these are some of the key terms that people may be searching for. But I'll show you why it's different to tags. And this is the social sharing image. So again, if you just go to your widget, and you can drag that in and decide which ones are actually going to display. So if we just head back up to the top, I'll just update, and we'll go to the settings. And we'll see here, you can choose whether to show that sidebar, show the header, enable or disable the comments, comments approval, add your share buttons and a choice of which ones. So you can always delete certain ones. And then these are your tags, which are different to your hashtags. So tags need to be well researched to ensure that you're covering the right things, menopause, hormonal changes, etc. And categories are the bigger overarching thing. This is about women's health specifically, whereas the tag is menopause or night sweats, whatever that may be. The post URL, it's helpful to have, so here I've got how menopause or hormonal changes affect sleep. So that is the URL, that title is important. Just check your URLs. And at the moment, it just says author's name, but make sure that you put your name with credentials there, and you can decide on the post date for that as well. So let's go and take a look at what that would actually look like. Okay. So you see the videos playing automatically. We can see that this lady is blinking. We can see down the side is that side navigation. Obviously, with it being a demo, there's only one that's live here. We've got the tags, but how do we know what's H1 and what's H2? So there's an extension through Chrome called H tag. So I downloaded it. And if you go to H tag and go to show tags, what we'll see is H1 was the very top of the blog. And that's the one that Google search engines will pick up. So obviously it's showing it now in bright colors, so you can see at a glance, which is different. So you've got your H2 titles. These are really important. H3 breaks things up, and H4 are the smaller ones, which are part of the same blog going under the H3s. And as we go through here, so this is about estrogen. So it's H4 about the decline, then progesterone and how hormonal changes affect sleep. We've now come to an H2. So if somebody is doing a search on hormone changes during menopause and how it affects sleep, this is the type of thing that will come up. Role of estrogen, etc. And there's another video that's playing automatically. And then we've got our natural remedies for sleep. A conclusion, always put that in the H2. And remember, you're going to have a call to action there, and you can even embed a form as well. So it could be that even within your course, you want to have the video playing as soon as somebody lands on the page. especially if it's a congratulations, you're at the end of this module. You may want that to just play automatically. So that's a nice way of keeping engagement throughout the course, is that on the last lesson of one of the modules, you've got a little video playing saying congratulations, maybe with fireworks, and maybe giving them their next step. So that's the type of thing you can create in Canva. Download it, and at the moment this one is muted, but we can do another version where if you want it to play with sound automatically. So I think that was everything I wanted to say about blogging. Does anybody have any questions?